So the kids said I should go live on YouTube, Mom. I said, what would they want to see? They said, everything, Mom. Everyone loves baby chicks. So I tried on YouTube, but apparently I can't do it for at least 24 hours or something. Something to do with they have to verify me or something like that. Not sure. All right. I'll tell you about the setup. Maybe somebody will join in to see the baby chicks live. I'm not sure. The brooder. I bought the brooder. It was made up to this part here by somebody else. This side flips open. That side stays steady. They attached a feeder tube to come down into the brooder, which sounds ingenious. They made a post that comes up here, and then there's a light lamp that's like zip tied to this right here. And that would be for heat lamps for people who use heat lamps. And I only use just a standard light bulb just so they have some light. The room that they're in is our mudroom bathroom. Kind of a big place. It's got a shower and things like that. It's where we go when we're super dirty from working in the land. And it does not have a heat source itself. It does have one window over there. It does open and close for fresh air and for a little bit of sunlight. And that's where they can hear the big chicks or the big chickens doing their chicken songs. When you have, so what we did, Chief and I made like a table with legs to elevate it off the ground. So it was easier for me to get to, because if I have to keep bending over to do things, it's kind of a pain. You probably could put it on a table or set it somewhere else like that, somewhere that's safe. Feed, we tend to like these metal cans. Unfortunately, I have one bag where something could get into it if it wanted to, but mice coming in the house usually are taken care of by the cats. So if you get feed, there's a little one poking its head out. If you get feed for your chicks, you might as well get the big bags, because they can eat this for a long time. Long time. And this is standard chick food. This is not layer food that's made for them to grow really fat really fast. So it's not a bad idea to put them in containers like this with lids. I have like a scooper, like a grain scooper. It's easy enough to use. And then when they start eating things other than actual chick food, they're going to need grit. Chick grit. So when I gave them some scraps of clover and grass, I also provided chick grit, which is basically little tiny stones. Tiny stones. There's chicken grit as well, but it's a lot bigger than these. I'm not going to open it with one hand. These are a lot smaller that can actually fit inside of them better. And they need it in order to digest any kind of food that you give them that is not chick food. Because the chick food is just little crumbles, and with the water it dissolves into their bodies and goes like just fine. But chickens eat rocks, and they go in the thing here called a gizzard, and they stay in the gizzard to help break up the food that comes in. That's bugs or treats or seeds or grasses or clovers. And so this is called the gizzard. And there was something else I was going to tell you about it. I don't remember. Oh, so it's basically like the chicken's teeth. So they don't necessarily have teeth inside their beak. They use this to peck and to grab and sometimes dig and to grab their food. And then the food goes down and the rocks stay in the gizzard to digest the food, which then goes into the chicken itself. So like I said, if you're going to have chicks, you need to have the stones that are tiny enough that will work for them. Because if you use the regular chicken grit or just rocks, they're going to be too big for them. So make sure that whatever enclosure you use is super secure. We have used large dog crates lined with cardboard along the sides, up and down along the sides, and that worked pretty well. But it was on the ground, so that meant every time I was taking care of them, I had to bend over and, you know, and it didn't open from the top, so it was a little harder to get into because it opened from the side. And if you don't put the cardboard in a large dog crate, the chicks will come out of the holes. And you'll have chicks running around. Which is not a good scene. It's never a bad idea to have them in a room that actually has a door that can close, just in case they get out. Like, maybe you're in the middle of something and you forget to close the top. God forbid, I forget to close the top. These guys are at the point where they jump out, they fly out, and they could be running around inside here instead, inside on the floor, blah, 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 doing their things. And they would be okay from the cats if the door was closed. Okay. So now back to the light fixture. Like I said, I only use that for daylight because we only have just the one window in this room and I don't want to leave the lights on all day. So right before I go to bed, I tell them good night and I unplug the light and they go, and I kind of use my hand and kind of herd them underneath the brooder like a mama hen would. She would just take her face and kind of come on and put them under her wings to keep them safe. So because it's not a heat lamp, because I think heat lamps are super dangerous and I don't like barbecue except for restaurants. So because it's not a heat lamp, it only provides light. That's why I have this brooder plate. The underside of the brooder plate is really, really warm. So it acts like a mother hen. The top is very cool. And literally cool, like, hey, that's cool. Because now they're to the point where they can jump on top of here and hang out. And so I always put cardboard on top of the brooder plate. Because you can see, it's very messy. So I will replace this very soon with something new for cardboard. Because it gets very poopy. And then I also had put the very small roost. And when I tap my fingers, they usually come. So this one's like, what? You want me to come? I put that tiny roost up here. So this is fun. And then they actually will go inside there with the feathers. They're just feather dusters. One thing I was concerned about is if the power should go out and we don't have the brooder plate, that they would not be able to maintain their temperature. So the first week, you need to have them at least 95 degrees that they can get to. Like this one seems, it's really feathering out quite a bit. And she just seems to like to be out. This one is bigger and starting to get feathers. And also, you can see if she wanted to be inside there, she could, because it's a lot warmer. But she's decided that she wants to take her nap out here, where she's cooler. So you can tell if things are too hot or too cold by what they're doing. You can tell they're getting bigger and more feathers by what they're doing too. So most of the other little ones, they're still underneath the brooder. The brooder is raised almost to full height right now. And it's a medium-sized block. So it can fit like, I think I said like 12 to 15 could go under there. And they kind of pile on each other too. And when we first bring them home, we make the brooder so the top is higher than the bottom or the back. So it slopes. So if they're really cold, they can go down where they'd be closer to the heat. And then if they get too warm, they can start coming out. Or if they get larger, they can start coming out. While the little ones could still be down and below. All right. Yes, there's chicken poop. If you have chickens, you're going to have poop. That's pretty normal. I did end up buying a new feeder for them. Here, this plastic one here, with tiny holes. Because this brooder came with this feed tube. And it had a round dish. And because I moved the water that was in a different corner over to here, I moved the dish to the side, and they could just get in there and fling it. Fling, fling, fling with their little feet. So instead, I got this one, just plastic. And it's got small holes. Oh, I got to rotate it around so they can get to the backs. And it keeps the feed where it belongs. It keeps them from flinging it into their water. So, like I said, there's poop. There's poop up there. There's poop in the floor, on the floor. In the chips as well. So when they fling the stuff everywhere, a lot of times it will get in the water, which is disgusting. So the rule of thumb that I've learned from Joel Salatin is you want your animals to have water that's clean enough that you would drink it. So consider the water that you're giving your flocks. Is it clean enough for you to drink it? This one I just cleaned before I did the video. They've already got just some chips in there. I've been trying to move poop and food to the sides and putting just chips in there. So if the chips get in there, it's easy enough to scoop them out. And so I have to empty that out and change it. Usually midday is when I like empty the trough part. So it's just clean water. And then by the end of the day, I have to redo it. And definitely by the end of the day, what I like to do is prep it for the next morning. Make sure that when they wake up, like if I don't get to them right away, that they have clean water to drink. And then they have food to eat as well. Now the light would be off until I turn it on, but there is some sunlight that comes from the window. You don't have to do all this stuff, but it sure helps. This door is very heavy. It's very, very heavy. If I let it close, it will slam. It will scare the poop out of them, which I don't want to do. But it is very heavy, and I could, if I needed to, add a latch. So a curious dog couldn't get in there. If this was like out in a garage or outside, this has hardware cloth on it, which is really secure. And so a critter couldn't just open it if I put a padlock on there or some kind of latch. And then this part does not open. This stays secure. And that would be because if this was a heat lamp, the heat would radiate down. So back to the feather dusters. So the feather dusters, what I do is I get, I have them in there because it's like a mom. And when they're scared, even once I remove this brooder plate, if they're scared, they can run underneath like they would broody hen. And they could do that for about 4 weeks. Because apparently, the broody hens, kick them out after about 4 weeks. Some kind of hormone kicks in, and they decide they are no longer wanting to be mothers. So I noticed with Broody that when the little chicks would go into the hen house, gosh, they're cute. When the little chicks would go into the hen house, she would go and grab them and throw them out. I was like, oh, that's so terrible. They were not this size. They were not fluffy anymore. They were not downy. They had all their feathers. They were big enough. She had already taught them everything she needed to teach them. And apparently her hormones switched. And she said, nope, you are out. You are so out of here. So if the power were to go out, even, they could come underneath this as a feather, because it's warmer inside there with feathers. And I also would take like, not 2 liter, but the 20 ounce like pop bottles, fill them with hot water, and then thread a sock over the top of them. That works really, really well. And then put it underneath the feathers, and they would lean against the water bottle, and they would stay warm. And then I just change out the water bottle. Like I would put a new one in at night, put a new one in the morning, as long as they needed the heat. So you don't have to have a broody to raise chicks. You don't have to have a brooder to raise chicks. And you don't have to have a heat lamp to raise chicks. So if you have access to hot water and containers, I even use water bottles, like medical water bottles that you would fill and put on your belly or your head or whatever. And I would fill those, and I would wrap those with like a towel or a, a pillowcase. So if the power goes out, you don't have to panic. So the first week, they went 95. Second week, 90. The third week, 80. The fourth week, 75. The fifth week, 70. And by that time, they're going to have all their feathers. So you don't have to have something fancy like this. It helps. I feel very secure. We've put them in totes before. And then even, like I said, with the dog cage, we would have Callie. If this was the dog cage, Callie, our calico cat, would jump on top, and she would be putting her paws like through the big holes of the dog cage. She couldn't reach them, but she was really determined. So you can do makeshift things. You can do tubs. You can do all kinds of things. If you're going to make it, just use a tub, like a Rubbermaid tub. Make sure you get a cover of some sort like this with some screen on top that's secure over the top. Another caution with the heat lamps is that you don't keep those chickens in your house or in your garage that's attached, because the bulbs do break, they do catch fire, they do drop down into, now this would not have the chance, this one would not have the chance to drop down into these dry wood chips, but there are some that do, and they set fire to the wood chips. They burn these up, and then they start catching the house on fire. So that's one reason I just really don't like heat lamps. I'm not all about that. But I feel very confident with the heat plate, the brooder plate, that it's not going to make contact. Hi, sweetie. Hey, sweetie. It's not going to make contact with the wood chips. I'm going to make barbecue or a house catch on fire. Because it is very, very dry in there with the wood chips. They are pine, I believe. Pine flakes. And I think they're the medium size. You don't want to get the fine kind, because these chicks are like toddlers. Everything goes in their mouth so they can figure out what it is. So the fine chips, flakes, for bedding is bad. They'll eat them. That's what they say. So you don't have to have a sterile environment. When Broody was raising her chicks, they were outside. They ate all kinds of things. They got into all kinds of things. They drank from dirty mud puddles. They drank from poopy mud puddles because they were outside. They were acting like chickens do. It's us humans that start freaking out over the dirt or the poop, whatever might be going on. So yeah, you don't need a setup like this, but it really helps. You don't need metal cans like this to protect your feed, but it really helps. Again, if the rats can't get in, the mice can't get into the feed, you're going to have less disease problems that way. Rats will eat chicks. Possums will eat chicks. Raccoons will eat chicks. Cats, dogs, snakes. I've seen a snake eat a chick. Not personally. Foxes, wolves, coyotes, eagles. Eagles will run down and snatch a chick, a hawk, any other bird of prey. Not a vulture, because vultures like them dead first. So if one of your chicks dies, a vulture might end up at your chick pen. So what I'll do later is put them outside. And anytime they're going to be outside, I'm always going to have the top covered as well, from predators that love to eat them. And I want to make sure that the sides have small enough holes that a snake can't get through, or a rat can't get through. A mouse might be able to get through, but not those kinds of things. So it does have a feed tube. Great idea. In practice, if Dave and I were to redo this or make new ones for people, we would modify it a little bit. I do have a small camera. This was really old, from gosh, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, but it works just fine for me to monitor what's going on with them from where I am at work, in my office, in the house. So if I start hearing cheep, 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 they make really loud, 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 loud cheeps. If they're in distress, I can kind of take a peek at the camera. I can say, nope, nothing bad's going on that I can see. No one's getting stuck. No one's picked on. No one's fallen. Maybe they're just mad or they're just playing. And again, you don't have to have all that, but if you do, it's good. It's a good idea. It makes life a lot easier. So if you're going to raise chicks, it's not a bad idea to have electric access and have water access. Of course, you don't want them to be too close. That's a bad idea. Water and electric. And also, if you're going to use this for a heat lamp, make sure that any extension cords you may have are rated for that, because they can actually melt. And also power strips can melt as well. So you've got to monitor that. Make sure that all of your stuff is set for the right, I don't know, what's it called, amps? I know it's probably annoying looking through this, but watch what happens once I open it. We're not going to do this for very long. But watch what happens. We'll come closer. I'll just stand here a minute. Hi, sweetie. I can say up, 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 up. Here comes. Here she comes. Not her, not he, him. Her. Hello. I taught the big chickens to come up, up, and they'll come up onto a roost to get some treats. This one is just curious. This is one of the Swedish flower hens. They have evolved. They call them overland, which means that they have not been interbred and crossbred by people. They just are survivors in their environments. And I can see where, I was crying out my shoulder. I can see where they're very, very intelligent. They can see where there may be threats, and they're very curious. So this one is a Swedish flower. That one is a Swedish flower. I want to find some Swedish names for them. If you have some ideas, I'll take them. Oops. How I like to get a chick is under their belly. Just kind of gently put my hand on them. And they usually will walk up onto them. With the camera here, they don't like it as much. Alright, you can't just hang out on my arm all day. You're going to poop on my sweater. Although you probably don't stink yet. They're very, very loud. I would not put them in your bedroom if you want to sleep. I would not put them where the cats or the dogs are, because they'll be so curious. Okay, I can't do all of this at one time here. But they can be very, very loud. And like toddlers, if they get very, very quiet, either they're asleep or they're getting into something. They peck at everything. They touch things with their beak. That's how they learn. Like a toddler with a mouth. They put their feet on everything to explore. Hi, sweeties. I'm just going to sit this here. Come here. Oh, there you go. I do have to be careful. I always have to be careful. They cannot hang themselves, strangle themselves, blah, blah, blah. I have a cord here that I don't like. It's sticking out because they will hurt themselves. So I'm going to push this back in so it's against the wall. These loops are not big enough that they can get through. If they were longer, they could hurt themselves. This I was not sure about because when they jump down, they can hurt themselves. I wasn't sure about them going up and down it, but they're working it out fine. Hi. And if they don't want to, they can go around. Yeah, right? Yeah. You just want to come back up again, don't you? I do try to pet each one of them every day, just a little bit. Hi, sweetie. I know they run away. When they run away, I pick them up. Come here. There you go. See how it just she just walked on my hand? So for trust, I'm just going to not move her. There we go. I'm just going to, she's still got one foot on my finger. So find out that my hands are a little warm. I never move quickly. I never make loud noises if possible. I try to let them come to me. I can go into the chicken pen now. I can use the metal rake on the straw and rake it all up. They don't even bat an eye. I can do all kinds of things and they don't even bat an eye. See? You have to teach them trust. You have to like develop trust with them, or they have to, you know what I mean? They gain trust over time. Now see how low my hand is? It's not a threat. They're curious, so they want to put their feet on it. They're gonna peck me a couple times when I have my other hand down. They check out the ring. Now look at this. It's a party, huh? They're pooping on my hands. They do that too. Anything new, they poop on it too. I wonder what'll happen if I poop on it. I wonder what'll happen if I step on it. If I jump over it. If I jump on it. Now they're very quiet. They're not seeing any kind of threat. Not seeing anything wrong going on. Checking out my hand. There you go. When I set them down, I always set them down gently. Come here, let me show you. I don't like to pick them up like this, but I will. But when I set them down, I refuse to allow them release until they're calm. So when I set them down, they have to be, nope, calm. That. I never throw them down. I don't like to let them just fly out of my hand either. Every interaction with my hands has to be calm. They're just babies. Look at those feathers. Look at those feathers. Those wings are beautiful. As regular chickens, they end up sleeping on top of roosts. So they have to practice that a little bit. But this little guy was sleeping down on the ground for a minute. Yeah. Well, girl. They're all girls. They're supposed to be. Oh, everyone else went to bed. There's 4 out. The rest are in the bed. I said I was going to turn the feed so I can get to this speed. Oh, now they're going to be curious. What you doing? What you doing? They definitely have some FOMO going on. And they are great imitators, for bad or for good. Oh, there's a boop. When one does something, the others will usually follow. Again, for bad or good. Hey, sweetie. Come. To me, it's important they get to know my hands, because if I have to pick them up, if I give them treats, if I have to check their feet, check their butts, whatever it might be, I want them to get used to me. Sometimes they get injured. I like to fix them without them getting more stressed. Up, up. Up, up. It's so hard to be patient, even for grown-ups. If you have kids, if you can teach them this, you're like 5 steps ahead. Well, there's a live. No one's watching. Just me. That's okay. Maybe I need to schedule a live. Would you guys watch a live if I schedule it? Hey, sweetie. Although, to be fair, my one son in Arkansas is probably at work. My other son, I think, is playing basketball with the boys. That's B-O-Y-Z, boys. And my daughter is storm chasing down in Texas. Where, last I heard, they were in Amarillo. And storms were supposed to break out about 6 or 7 tonight. And a lot of people are working. I was off the clock at 4:30 my time, so my brain is kind of fried. The people are super nice though. Super friendly, very helpful. We were learning about ICD-11 today, a seminar. That was kind of mind-blowing. That one really likes, this dark one really likes to clean feathers. Now if I rustle around in here, they want to know what's going on. There they go. Hey, what are you doing? Ma, what are you doing? Ma, nothing? Nothing? Just say hi. Just say hi. You are the same one. You're the Swedish. I need to name you. You're the leader of the pack. Like Linda was in the original 10. Our first group was 10 Midnight Majesty Marins, black with some rust spots and some like greenish sheen. And they're the ones that lay the giant brown eggs, dark brown eggs. Well, they're supposed to be chocolate brown is what they say. There you go. But watch. If I do this again. What are you doing? What are you doing? This is the guard. I wash my hands before I get in here with them, so I don't bring human germs or big chicken germs in here. And then I will definitely wash them again after I've been rounding around in the poop and having poop on my hands. You're gonna get pooped. That's gonna happen. So if you decide to hold your chickens, don't wear your favorite clothes. Don't do it right before you're gonna go out somewhere. You will get pooped on. Hey, that's my finger. It's my finger. That's your little breast. Here, you go. I'll give you a little hug. I call them hugs. Here's your hug. With the big chickens, I do up, up, up. I give them treats when they come up. And then I get to give them hugs. See? Hug, 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 hug. And again, they don't like patting on the head. They run away from that. Some chickens do like to be stroked. Not these so far. I've not found a chicken that likes to be stroked. Kind of freak out. You got a lot of tips on you. So I'm not as concerned about this anymore. They will actually jump over it. From here, they'll jump over it. They'll run around it. They'll jump down here and go around. But I have to always be thinking about what could happen with them. Because if you think to yourself, oh, a chicken would never... No, they will. They really will. So a small example is that feed tube here. That's attached to the tube outside of this brooder box. Chief was trying to figure out why it wasn't coming out. So he took it apart. And then when he put it together again, he was leaving this upward, like pointing upward. I said, oh no, we can't leave it like that because a chick will get in there. they'll try to jump on top of it, and they will get in there. So it won't be long before they try to jump on top of the feeder. And before they drop on top of the waterer. Now, if they get on the feeder, once they get on top of either one, they're going to poop, because that's what they do. If they knock this over, it's not a big deal. It's plastic. It's no biggie. There's plenty of food still all over the ground here, all over the floor of their area they can get to. They're not going to starve. But if they jump on top of this, well, they're going to poop, yes, which means poop gets in the water. And if they happen to knock it over, which at some point they probably will, that causes issues, because then the floor of their area gets all wet. And wetness can breed disease and other things that are bad for them. So I will, well, one, I'm going to have to change out their water again. But two, I will probably have to put like a brace to keep the water upright. Alright, that's all I'm doing. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, it's almost 5:30. Alright, I gotta go pick up an earth bed from Pat by 6. So I need to put real clothes on, get my tools. You guys got to see the chicks live. This is go underneath. See, it's pretty homey down there. We got lots of room. Hello, babies. Plenty of room. Oh, hello, hello, hello. Mister, I gotta steal the show. Yeah. Alright, my friends. I'll see you later. And I'll see you guys later. Love ya. And I'll catch you later. Tammy Lowe, Lazy Northern Gardener. I call myself a chicken lady, a chicken whisperer. Doesn't mean anything. I've only been doing this since the fall of 2019, so I'm not an expert. But what I do is I really, really, really dig into stuff. Probably a little bit autistic, I would say, or aspy. Kind of like that. So I get very, very, very focused on things, and I want to learn and learn and learn and learn and learn what works, what doesn't work. I do a lot of research. And then I also try things out in my own area. And if it doesn't work, I change it until it keeps working. So. Alright, Tammy Lowe, Lazy Northern Gardener. Well, bye, chickies. Behave yourselves. I'll see you later on.